Hi, I'm Lydia Earhart, Director of Marketing at Mount San Antonio Gardens. Welcome to In the Gardens, a show very specific to our YouTube channel where you get to meet the wonderful residents that reside at the gardens. Today, we're speaking with Ada Gates. She is a farrier that has been in the industry for years. She has worked for the Tournament of Roses for about 37 years. So today we're going to speak to her about her wonderful, monumental career that she has been a part of. We're going to learn a little bit about her time as a child and how that influenced her today. And we're also going to talk a little bit more about where the name Ada comes from. And her time at the gardens, what life is like here for her, how she feels like she fits in. You won't want to miss this. Stick around. Thank you so much for being here today in our studio apartment, our extended studio apartment, lovely staged by one of our own.
Yeah.
And you actually have this floor plan too, right? Or you have
No, I have a bedroom, living room in the B building up in a corner.
Mm-hmm. So a one bedroom.
Yes, one bedroom in the B building, correct.
And you moved from...
Oh, the D building. I loved the D building. And I spent, it took a year and a half to get in.
Mm-hmm.
And during that year and a half, I bothered admin constantly. Well, I have to measure because, I have a space planner and a designer and a colorist and a floor man and installers and decorators. What? I said, well, I'm not going to have a Xerox machine next to my bed, okay?
Mm-hmm.
So all of this has to be like I'm living on a boat because I moved into the D building, which was one room, but it was huge. It was like 19 by 14.
Mm-hmm.
The ceilings were 9 foot too high.
But you initially moved from a home,
Yes,
right?
yeah. I moved from home in Pasadena.
Okay.
And I downsized from 1,700 square feet to about 450 square feet.
Was it hard moving from Pasadena to Claremont? Tell me about that.
When
Pomona.
My friend Peggy Phelps said, Ada, you have to come out and live at the gardens. I said, what? She said, yes. I said, Peggy, I'm too young. She said, shut up and get on the list. And I trusted her acumen, her judgment, her wisdom. She could have gone anywhere she wanted to. We both come from upstate New York, so we had a connection with family. And I'd been in Pasadena for 45, 50 years. Mm-hmm. I'm a New Yorker. You could never tell. And I said, Pomona. Now, I'm not a scholar either. I had heard that a lot of Claremont academics and scholars had moved here. I said, I can't do that. I mean, I barely got out of high school. I laugh a lot, but that's about it. How can I get in? Anyway, it all happened, and I'm so glad I moved here. Oh, yes.
Ada, tell me how'd you get your name? Like, who named you?
What a wonderful thing to ask.
It's such a lovely name.
Thank you. I come from an old family from the East Coast with origins in Scotland and England. Mm-hmm. And my father's, and I'm one of 8 children, but they were his, hers, ours, because my parents were married before. Then they married each other and had more children. I'm from the last batch. And because we're just of a culture where every child is named after somebody who went before. Mm-hmm. So I was named Ada after my father's mother, and my middle name is Gwendolyn, which is after my mother's mother. Wow. So I'm Ada Gwendolyn Gates. Wonderful. Then I married Harry Patton, so I'm Ada Gwendolyn Gates Patton. So those are on my financial documents, but that's the only time I use all that.
I want to touch on your career as a farrier,
okay.
Right?
Yeah.
And for someone who doesn't know what a farrier is, can you explain that?
Yes, a farrier in the dictionary says a man who works with iron and shoes horses. So it's a blacksmith who makes horseshoes and puts the horseshoes on horses. Mm-hmm. And it comes from the Latin ferro, F-E-R-O, of steel, but then it was changed to Farrier in the Old French. So iron is ferrous And so Farrier from Farrier is working with iron and shoeing horses.
Your career as a farrier led you to work for the Rose Parade.
Yes.
Which that article was just featured in Pasadena Now.
Yeah.
And you had been in that, working with the Tournament of Roses for 47 years?
No, 30.
30 years, okay. And my goodness, how do you, I mean, that Rose Parade is on everywhere on New Year's Day, right?
Yes.
And so how do you work for an organization like that, knowing that everyone's going to see it?
I don't even think about it. I only have one job and one focus, and that's the horses, the health, welfare, and safety of the horse and rider. And my job is to make sure that horses going down 7 miles of pavement are properly shod with traction devices so they do not slip on the pavement. Some horses go barefoot because a barefoot foot on pavement doesn't slip, but steel on pavement will just slide right out from underneath them. And for many years before I was asked, horses were slipping and falling even. And so I was I had a client, and I was doing her horses, her ponies, and she said, I'm the chairman of the Rose Parade Equestrian Division, and we're having problems, and would you come and help us create a policy and a plan and oversee compliance for horses to be well done and have traction? Well, talk about a job. I said, oh yeah, sure, that sounds like fun. No, it was a lot of work. So anyway, so I started, and I drew up a policy, and then I had to watch over all the horses, communicate with their captains and their riders to make sure that every horse was properly done.
I think one of the things that prospective residents not struggle with, but is a big question, is often, will I fit in here? Do I see myself here? How did you realize that this was the perfect community for
Lydia, the last place I thought I would ever be was with 300 PhDs. I mean, I had nothing in common.
Right.
Nothing in common with anybody here. I was raised in a completely different culture, a completely different lifestyle. Yes, my parents were, my father was extremely educated. My mother was not educated, but very beautiful and very sought after, and a wonderful storyteller, and drop dead gorgeous. And I thought, and again, if Peggy Phelps came here and I loved and respected her, I said, well, I guess I better go out and look at what Peggy's talking about. Because I had looked at a lot of other places, and I even looked in Connecticut. And I thought, I could come here to Connecticut. I'm near my niece. I can get on a train, go to New York, go to the theater, go to the ballet, blah, blah, blah. And then I decided, no, if I go east, I'm not going to work with Monty Roberts anymore. I'm not going to see the horses that I've been working on for 20 years anymore. I'm not going to be at Santa Anita and in partnership with a lot of people that I know.
And you'll be cold.
I don't mind cold. I grew up in the cold.
True.
I was used to it. But
right,
I think now my blood's turned to white wine. So anything below 50, I am cold.
A true Californian now.
So in the end, it was the gardens. And coming out here and having lunch, coming out here for an overnight, what really did it for me is after looking at all these other places in the Pasadena, Southern California area, I even went down to Laguna Beach. I went everywhere. Santa Barbara. I really looked. And I walked in here for lunch. The place was jumping. The dining room was packed. People were talking. They were laughing. They were getting up and moving around. Everybody at different stages in their lives are in an appropriate space for them at that time in their lives. And what I love about it is, if obviously, I'm going to be in a different stage at some point, I'm just going to walk across the driveway and I'm still going to have all my friends.
Absolutely.
So that was really key, and many other places did not have that
right.
at all.
So I think we've covered a lot today. And I want to ask you some rapid fire questions.
Sure.
Okay, so what's one thing you want to learn from people that are younger than you?
Wow. Well, when they're open, they're sponges, and they know things in 2 years it took me 20.
Okay, what's one thing that you want to teach the younger crowd?
To be open and to be sponges.
Nice. Okay. What's your a lot of people have misconceptions about living in retirement communities. So what is the biggest misconception that you think is not true?
I think the misconception is, oh gosh, I don't want to go there. I'm going to be with all these people and I'm not going to have a life and I'm not going to be independent. Just the opposite is true. I am free. I'm independent. I have everything I want. I don't have to waste 1 ounce of time or energy grocery shopping or fixing a meal or tidying up my house or doing anything. I can just go out the door, know that security is completely in charge and everything is safe. When I went to New York before and left my house, broken pipes, fire, burglars, I was terrified. And I would never go away for more than a week or 10 days because I didn't think my house was going to be there when I got home.
Right.
So just the opposite is true. The best thing I ever did was marry Harry Patton. And the second best thing I ever did was move to the Gardens.
Wow, we're right up there. Sounds like you're in love with us.
I am in love with you.
Well, that's a good place to be.
Can I say one more thing?
Sure.
I was having lunch one day and I was still feeling, I don't know, it takes a year or two. It takes a while to settle in with 500 people you've never met before, okay? And I don't know when it was, but I was sitting next to Bob Rogers at lunch. And he put his arm around me and he said, Ada, you belong to us.
Aww.
I was so touched.
How touching.
And I think that was a turning point for me.
Oh, yeah.
That was a surrender to, I belong here.
One last question, too.
Yeah.
And thank you so much for spending time with us today. It's
Yes.
been wonderful getting to know you and learning more about your story. But I was wondering about the what you think you have done that maybe here at the Gardens that you would have never experienced, being at home.
Great question. I used to give dinner parties, and they were wonderful dinner parties, and the table looked beautiful, and everybody was having a good time. I never in a million years would have had a dinner party with Jim Likens, Georgia Mickey, Kathy Brown. I just can't tell you how many people Judy Grabner. I failed math all my life. How could I ever have Judy Grabner come to my house for dinner? I wouldn't have even known her. I wouldn't have known any of these people. So it has opened up for me not only a new life, but I have to say an even richer life because I'm meeting people that have really accomplished something. I came from a privileged background, but many of these people grew up on a dirt floor in a tent.
Yeah.
That was how poor they were.
Yeah.
And they've just achieved so much in their lives. And I just honor and respect them so much. And I am so glad to know them and that they accept me as a friend and that we talk and exchange ideas and things that I never would have heard before. I love the people that live here.
So one final question, describe the Gardens in one word.
Fantastic.
Wonderful. Well, thank you, Ada. Appreciate
Thank you, Lydia.
It was great meeting you.
Thank you so much.
Your story too.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, dear.